Good morning, and welcome to Neighborhood Unitarian Universalist Church here in Pasadena. Welcome to all members, friends, and guests here in person and virtually. My name is James Coombs, and I am a member of your Board of Trustees. Neighborhood Church creates and grows an inclusive community of faith connected by love, spirit, and service. We acknowledge our presence on the ancestral and unceded territory of the Gabrielino Tongva peoples, the traditional caretakers of the lands and waters of this campus. With respect to the rights and the wisdom of Indigenous people, we acknowledge our harmful colonial histories and commit to decolonizing our own practices and to learning new ways of being in community and with each other, in good relationship with the Indigenous peoples of this land and with the land itself. Today's service is led by Senior Minister Reverend Dr. Omega Burkhart, with music by our music director, Dr. Zenaida Robles, Associate Music Director, Wells Lang, and our fantastic choirs, both youth and adult. Please take a moment to silence your devices as we begin our service. And I also want to point out that if you're interested in the mask-only section, we have that in the taped section right up here. And thank you for joining us as we continue to prioritize connection over perfection in this hybrid service, which is both streamed and recorded on YouTube. Families with young children are always welcome in the sanctuary or the narthex. And I have one very important announcement for all of us today. So next weekend, we will be engaging in our new ministry startup. Now that we have a fantastic senior minister and so much energy and campus participation, it's time that we collectively start to set some goals for how we want to be each other and how we want to engage this world. These workshops that will be taking place next weekend are different from the process that we used this past year, as last year's process resulted in our calling Reverend Omega. Next weekend's time together will be to set collective goals and engage in covenant and shared ministry. Saturday afternoon, the board and Reverend Omega will be meeting with UUA consultant Reverend Sarah Gibb Millspaw, and Sunday afternoon, our congregation, all of you, will meet right here. Please plan to bring a picnic lunch for after the next Sunday service, and we will begin in this space and go from 1:30 to 4:30 p.m. Childcare will be provided in the program's building. And our order of service and more extensive announcements are available as a link in the Sunday email, posted in the narthex, or through the QR code on the back of your hymnal. You can always get more information on these and many other activities at the welcome table. And again, welcome to Neighborhood Church. Whoever you are and wherever you are on your spiritual journey, welcome to this inclusive faith community connected by love, spirit, and service.
You are not 15, 12, or 17. You are 100 wild centuries and 15, bringing with you in every breath and in every step everyone who has come before you, all the yous you have ever been, the mothers of your mother, the father of your fathers. If someone in your family tree was trouble, 100 were not. The bad do not win, not finally. No matter how loud they are, we simply would not be here if that were so. With these words from the poet Alberto Rios, we light our chalice this morning. Come, let us worship together.
Our opening hymn is number 123 in your gray hymnals or on the screens above. Please rise in body or in spirit and join us in singing our opening hymn, Spirit of Life. We will sing it in English and in Spanish.
All right, good morning. I'm Matt Vasco, your Director of Spiritual Exploration. It's a pleasure to be with you all this Sunday. And may I please have all of the children and youth forward for a story for all ages, please. And when you come up, grab a cushion from over there. We're trying something new. We're going to do take a cushion, put back a cushion. We're going to see how that works. Just one apiece, not four, not a whole stack. Let's not see how many you can take. We're We're trying to think. Well, you look adorable doing it. That's the important thing. So does anybody know what's special about tomorrow? What's tomorrow? Any of our kids? Oh, I hear some adults helping them out. Yes, what's that? Good, yes, Indigenous Peoples Day. It is Indigenous Peoples Day. Yes, got to make sure we honor that this day and every day. So I have a book for us today. It's called Be a Tree. And it's about, what's that? Yeah? Oh, cool. Well, in this book, we're all trees. It's written by Maria Giafferrari, and it's illustrated by Felicita Sala. Be a Tree. And it's got, I'm going to lose that because I'll lose it anyway. It's got this beautiful picture inside of different tree leaves. Very pretty. All right, be a tree. There's some kids climbing a tree. Have you ever climbed a tree?
Oh,
Lots of times. Cool. Yeah. Yeah, lots of times. That's great. There's someone planting a tree and a tree growing up. Our monthly theme is heritage, and I think you'll sense that theme in this book. Stand tall. Stretch your branches to the sun. Can you stretch your branches to the sun? Woo. Yeah, we're all being trees. Stretch your branches to the sun. Let your roots curl, coil in the soil to ground you. Coil in the soil. That's fun to say. Coil in the soil. Your spine is a trunk, giving you shape, holding your crown, channeling your food. A trunk. Big trunk. Your skin is bark, dead on the outside, protecting what's within. Ooh. Protecting what's within. Beneath your bark are layers, such as sapwood, carrying nutrients to help you grow bigger and taller, and heartwood, strong as bone, to support you. And if you cut a tree, you can figure out its age by all those growth rings. Yeah. In your heart center is your pith, keeper of nutrients. When you were a sapling. And it's got a picture of inside our bodies, all of the veins and blood vessels. High above your crown may be round, weeping, pyramidal, broad. Let it spread, shine overhead, collecting sun, filtering dust, shading your roots on hot days.
Like this one.
Yeah, today's a hot day, isn't it? Yeah. We gotta tell the weather it's October. Wave your leaves in the wind. Breathe in air, drink in sun. Let them fuel you and the world. See yourself, branches and leaves above, roots below, trunk in between. You are a tree. You are a tree. And now look around you. You are not alone. You are one of many trees. The world is full of trees. Our roots twine with fungi, joining all trees in the forest together. We talk, share food, store water, divide resources, alert each other to danger. A wood wide web. A wood wide web of information. Wood wide. We purify the air, we anchor the soil, preventing erosion. Our domes are joined crowns, swinging and strengthening, slowing the winds. Isn't that cool how trees slow the winds? Yes, we're stronger together. Our bodies and branches and roots are homes to birds and mammals and insects. We sustain ecosystems. Wait, look at this. Immigrant trees away from their native habitats are vulnerable. Look how it opens up. Ooh, beautiful picture. It says, but together a forest of trees is strong. Mother trees nurse young trees, old trees shade new trees, strong trees shelter weak trees, healthy trees help sick trees. Isn't that beautiful? Like a painting. Okay, hold your comments till the end. You can talk to me after, okay? A family, a community, a country, a cosmos. There is enough for all. We got to repeat that line, right? There is enough for all. Yeah. It's important. So be a tree, for together we are a forest. Beautiful symbolism of community. That's our story. Thanks so much. Now, oh, thank you. Now you've got to put all those cushions back where you got them, okay? And we're going to sing you out to your classes.
Giving is a spiritual practice through which we put our values into action. Each Sunday, our congregation dedicates 100% of its contributions to a local social justice organization or activity. In addition to the plate, online giving is available through the QR code or using the QR code on the donations box just outside the sanctuary or using the text instructions shown up on the screen. If you wish to make a payment towards your pledge or contribute to church operations, please make a note in the subject line or use an envelope available at the donations box. And this week, our gifts go to the Side Streets Project. Here to tell us more is Delphine Vasco. Delphine?
Good morning, everybody. I'm Delphine Vasco. I'm a member of the Share the Plate Committee, and I'm so excited to share with you about Side Street Projects. Side Street Projects is a local artist-run organization dedicated to fostering leadership in the community through socially engaged art. They offer programming that promotes creativity, well-being, and the potential for collective growth in the communities of Pasadena. Founded in 1992, Side Street Projects is a creative laboratory that encourages creative problem solving and promotes innovation in arts and in education. In addition to offering free community workshops for multi-generational audiences, their mobile youth education program teaches tool-based design and fabrication aboard mobile fabrication studios housed in renovated transit buses and trailers. And they're actually going to be at the Gamble House this coming Friday for Art Night Pasadena. They partner closely with the Pasadena Unified School District. Their second grade public art curriculum serves all 1,500 second grade students in PUSD as part of the district's My Masterpieces program that pairs our city's cultural institutions to grade level curriculum. They work with 4 PUSD schools to provide an intensive 10-week STEAM woodworking curriculum. And they also bring together students from Rose City High School with professional curators, exhibition technicians, and museum educators to curate the district-wide art exhibition, No Boundaries. And if you haven't been to that, it usually takes place in the spring, and it's just magical. Side Street Projects hopes that the work they do will cause a ripple effect in our society that moves us towards collective growth and regeneration. We hope you'll give generously to Side Street Projects. Thank you.
Thank you, Delphine. Will today's volunteers please bring the plates forward? And thank you for giving generously.
As we gather this morning to honor the complexity of heritage, it is appropriate, it is right that we pause for a moment of silence to honor the tragedy that is unfolding in Israel and Gaza and across the Middle East. So let us take a moment of silence to pray together for those who have died, for those who are suffering, and for the peacemakers, that they may have wisdom and strength. So please join me for a moment of silent communal prayer. Amen. The reading this morning comes from this book, The Sacred Depths of Nature, written by Dr. Ursula Goodenough, a biologist from Washington University in St. Louis. As a biologist, the beginning of our reading contains many scientific terms. I ask you to hang in there as we read through them. Credo of continuation, writes Dr. Goodenough. We have thought about evolution as being about prevalence, about how many copies there are of which kind of genomes, but it is quite accurate, and I believe more germinative, to think of evolution as being about the continuation of genomes. Genomes that create organisms with sufficient reproductive success to have viable offspring who are viable to continue the future. Genomes may fail, after all, and they fail. Reproductive success is governed by many variables, but key adaptations have included the evolution of awareness, valuation, and purpose. In order to continue, genomes must dictate organisms that are aware of their environmental circumstances, evaluate these inputs correctly, and respond with intentionality. She goes on to write, "And so I profess my faith. For me, the existence of all this complexity and awareness and intent and beauty and my ability to comprehend it serves as the ultimate meaning and the ultimate value. The continuation of life reaches around, it grabs its own tail, and forms a sacred circle that requires no further justification. No creator, no superordinate meaning, or meanings, no purpose other than that the continuation continue until the sun collapses or the final meteor collides. I confess a credo of continuation. And in doing so, I confess as well a credo of human continuation. We may be the only questioners in the universe, the only ones who have come to understand the astonishing dynamics of cosmic evolution. If we are not, if there are others who know, it's unlikely that we will ever encounter one another. We are also, whether we like it or not, the dominant species and the stewards of this planet. If we can revere how things are and can find a way to express gratitude for our existence, then we should be able to figure out, with a great deal of work and goodwill, how to share the earth with one another and with other creatures, how to restore and preserve its elegance and grace, and how to commit ourselves to love and joy and laughter and hope. It goes back, in the end, to my father's favorite metaphor. Life is a coral reef. We each leave behind the best, the strongest deposits, so we can see that the reef can grow. But what's important is the reef. Thus ends our reading. History is not some shriveled practice of paying attention to something long dead, writes my colleague, the Reverend Karen Johnston. Holding history is an enlivened and embodied dance of the then and the now, a recognition of the truth spoken by James Baldwin. History is not the past, it is the present. We carry our history with us. We are our history. This month, we celebrate heritage, our Unitarian Universalist heritage, and our culture's tapestries that have been woven, are being woven today, of who we understand ourselves to be. It is a dance of the then and the now. It is a dance that is complicated and vibrant, and sometimes as painful as it is beautiful. A few years ago, I completed a mail-in DNA test. I was curious to see what it would indicate about my biological ancestors. There are a lot of family stories that I know, of course, through pictures and other narratives, and a vaguely remembered archival project that I did when I was a youth for school. I knew that my ancestors were primarily European immigrants, and with a name like Burkhart, with all those extra letters, and my mother's maiden name, we were likely from Germany and Ireland. And then there's the family story that someone, a cousin or a cousin of a cousin, something similar, had traced our family lineage to me, the last Burkhart with that spelling of the name, a fact that the younger me was fascinated with, as my first name, Omega, means the end. In a more dramatic time in my life, I thought that was destiny. But of course, now I know that my parents didn't know that story. They just liked how Omega sounded, a Greek name. I have no Greek ancestry. And then there's a connection that happened through social media. I was contacted several years ago by another Burkhart with the same spelling as mine. Alas, I was not the last. He resided in the border region of France and Germany. He had traced our family line to me and a couple of dozen others. And what I learned is, interestingly, most of us lived in that region, Baden-Württemberg, a smattering of us here in the United States, and a large number in Argentina, Peru, and Chile. When I put two and two together, I realized that many of those alive today were children and grandchildren of those who immigrated in the migration of Germans after World War II to South America, not because they were persecuted, but rather because they were fleeing persecutions of war crimes. They were, likely, at least some of them, Nazis or Nazi sympathizers. The fact that my direct ancestors immigrated to the United States in the 1800s before this does not shield me from the grief that members of my ancestral tree, cousins of cousins, perhaps would commit such atrocious crimes. For I also know that one of my direct ancestors hired a person to fight in his place for the North during the Civil War, a person of a different race than him, a different economic standing. My ancestor survived. I don't know about the person he hired in his place. I am a child of colonizers. I am the product of their wildest dreams come true. And while there's a small part of me that understands and is grateful for their sacrifices, I am also deeply troubled by what their sacrifices have afforded me. Let me be clear. My reckoning of my ancestors' choices is not equal to the generational trauma suffered by others, generational trauma caused by racism and genocide and structural oppression. It is not equal. Rather, I hope that my anecdotes serve to highlight how we have to reckon with our past if we hope to move into the future. And there can be grief in that reckoning. We have to reckon with how our lives may or may not be the fulfillment of the hopes and dreams of our ancestors. What dreams we take for our own and what we must choose to change for ourselves and for our descendants. What we must change for our wildest dreams to come true. The phrase, "I am my ancestors' wildest dreams," was not created for me, nor do I use it lightly or without recognition. It's generally attributed to Brandon B. Mike Odoms, a black artist and activist from New Orleans, whose work focuses on art as resistance. And this phrase has appeared in poetry and in spoken word, activism, music, and art in the black community for years. This phrase is not for me, but it does make me think about my place in the world now. How I was loved into this world by thousands of generations before me, and what I will pass on as my legacy, both to my descendants and to others who may call me ancestor. We are the result of thousands of generations of successes, yes, and trauma. We are the products of inflictors of violence, of survivors of persecutions also, and of peacemakers. This is evident in our Unitarian Universalist heritage as well, a heritage that we want to believe has always put us on the side of love, but we also know hasn't always done that. In the last 20 years or so, extensive research by Unitarian Universalist ministers and individuals, as well as organizations and indigenous Unitarian Universalists, this research has uncovered truths about the creation of Unitarian boarding schools in Montana and Colorado. These schools, and I use schools with quotes, these schools were created to further Unitarian Christian-based ideals of cultural erasure and genocide. The Reverend Dana Stivers writes of the Montana school that operated between 1886 and 1897. She writes, "Despite evidence of good intent and even expressions of love, we must recognize that ultimately the records reveal a painful picture, that Crow youth were removed from their homes at times against their will as their running away attests. They were made to assimilate to Anglo-American ideals as the Unitarians worked to eliminate Crow language and culture." We here in this room have ancestors who created those schools to erase other people's cultures and languages. We here in this room have ancestors whose cultures and languages were erased. Are we their wildest dreams come true? How How do we hold this complexity of our heritage? How do we hold our personal stories and the histories of others who are here today, ours and others? How do we make a world that is better and more just without falling into patterns of trauma and trauma infliction now and going forward? Activist and writer Adrienne Marie Brown describes her life's work this way. She says, these are her words, "There is a saying that has been popular in the past few years. I am my ancestors' wildest dream. I love this idea, and I have put seeds in that soil, but there are also, in my lineage, ancestors for whom I am likely their worst nightmare. A Black, queer, pansexual, poly-curious, unmarried, childless, defiant, feminist, post-capitalist, earth lover, constantly thinking about what might be the most revolutionary next step I can take. Yes, I know that there are ancestors who would feel they had failed in their work because I exist." She goes on to say, "But what I know, which maybe these ancestors have some sense of now, is that the impulse to dominate and control and harm and deny the truth of divergent human experiences is rooted in self-loathing. I have to honor that those ancestors lived in a time of less knowing, of less connectedness, and less possibility. I have to honor that their lives are crucial to my callings. I pass my current experiences of freedom and delight back to the ancestors who did not have access to rest or agency over their time. I pass my current experiences of self-love and radical self-acceptance back to my ancestors who thought they could only belong through some version of destruction of themselves or others." I end her quote there. So to return to that question, how do we live into the complexity of our heritage? Honor it. Live it. Understand what happened and what privileges and trauma we may have because of it. Grieve it. Take a step back and examine where it is baked into systems of which we are a part, our families, our church, other churches, the way our city and state governments are constructed. We talk about it. We be open about it. Appropriately, though, and in ways that won't cause additional harm to others. We caucus and we gather with others with whom we can share. We are open and honest because we know that defensiveness does not invite collaboration, rather it creates separation and destruction. We create community and relationship. We lean into mutual support. We accept divergent human experiences, and we teach ourselves how to support others in their journeys. And we extend grace to one another because we will probably make mistakes. We hold ourselves and others accountable, but we create pathways for learning and for coming back into right relationship. And last but not least, we consider this important, sacred work. Work that we, as the future's ancestors, do so that our descendants don't have to. The work of interdependence and justice, of creating new and more life-sustaining structures for future generations, even while we acknowledge that we cannot and we will not do it the same way. Thank the goddess, we will not do it the same way our ancestors did. A credo of continuation, as Dr. Ursula Goodenough, the author of our reading today, writes. Dr. Ursula Goodenough, Professor Emerita of Biology from Washington University and President of the Religious Naturalist Association, Dr. Ursula Goodenough, daughter of a Methodist minister and a professor of world religions, who once stated to his young and curious daughter, "Life is a coral reef. We each leave behind the best, the strongest deposit we can, so the reef can grow. But what's important is the reef." When I received the results back from my DNA test, it affirmed what I had been taught through family stories. It affirmed where most of my blood ancestors came from. Those tests showed migration patterns, and superimposed on top of the anecdotes I knew, it showed me one part of my heritage. But it didn't show all of it. It didn't show the recipes. It didn't show the family stories, the sayings that are particular to us. It didn't show a picture of my grandmother playing the church organ, an image that was instilled in me as a young child, probably giving rise to my love of church music. That DNA test did not show a picture of my mother who gathered signatures outside of a grocery store in southern Mexico in the 80s to support a local ballot initiative for clean water in her area. And that DNA test did not show me here, a flawed human being, trying to lean into wonder and interdependence, trying to be a role model of accountability for my own children, a credo of continuation, if you will, of being our descendants' wildest ancestors. May it be so.
Our closing hymn is number 1051 in your teal hymnal or on the screens above. Please rise in body or in spirit and join us in singing our closing hymn, number 1051, We Are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreaming. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage and fathers of time. We are daughters of dust and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy and brothers of love. We are lovers of life and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth and makers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are.
For our benediction, I would like to read to you the whole poem, that Alberto Rios wrote. You are not 15 or 12 or 17, you are 100 wild centuries. And 15, and bringing with you in every breath and in every step, everyone who has come before you, all the yous you have ever been, the mothers of your mother, the fathers of your father. If someone in your family tree was trouble, 100 were not. The bad do not win, not finally, no matter how loud they are. We simply would not be here if that were so. You are made fundamentally from the good. With this knowledge, you never march alone. You are the breaking news of the century. You are the good who has come forward through it all, even if so many days feel otherwise. But think, when you as a child learned to speak, it's not that you didn't know the words. It's that from the centuries you knew so many. And it's hard to choose the words that will be your own. From these centuries, we human beings bring with us the simple solutions and songs, the river bridges and the star charts and the song harmonies, all in the service to a simple idea, that we can make a house called tomorrow, that we bring finally into a new day, every day, ourselves. And that's all we need to start. That everything we require to keep going, look back, but only for as long as you must. Then go forward into the history you will make. Be good, then better. Write books, cure disease, make us proud. Make yourself proud. And those who came before you, when you hear thunder, hear it as applause. May it be so.